Mark, bring the charger, she says without looking up. Thumb still on the screen, eyes on some glowing thread that doesn't include me. The slide deck I rebuilt for her investor meeting is open on my laptop, the transitions tight, the story clean. I wait for a please, the way you wait for a crosswalk light that's been broken for years. I head to the bedroom. The charger's on my nightstand. And on my pillow, neat, centered, a stack of papers with blue sticky flags. Petition for dissolution stares at me like a parking ticket under the wiper. My name typed out 3 times on the first page, like a joke that over-explains itself. Behind me, heels in the doorway. Well, charger. You left something on my pillow. I answer, not moving. It's time, Claire says. This is the cleanest way. If I'd known where it was headed, I'd have closed the laptop an hour earlier. Maybe a year earlier. That thought slides through and lodges. I look at her. Perfect suit, phone still in her hand. The woman I edited a dozen speeches for, as if we were on the same team. What did I do? I ask. She exhales like I'm late to a meeting. Let's not. My attorney, Grant, has everything ready. All you do is sign. We can drive now and be done before dinner. I'm your husband, Claire. You're comfortable, she answers. That's different. I look at the documents again. Tabs for each signature. A mechanical path out of my own house. I take the charger. Let me get my jacket. If you try to drag this out, she says, you'll hate the billable hours. Just be smart. I didn't know the billable hours would be the least of it. Grant Holloway's office is cold on purpose. Metal sculpture on the credenza, nothing personal anywhere. He shakes my hand like he's accepting a package he didn't order. Mr. Lawson, Claire has described your arrangement. He starts, flipping to the last tab. 15 years, no minor children, assets largely tied to her compensation. This agreement is generous. What do I get? I ask, besides a headache. $50,000, he says, not blinking. Immediate payment. You waive any future claims. I watch Claire scroll her phone. That's a used sedan and a year of rent. I reply. We have a house. My income bought the house. Claire says, finally glancing up. And the renovations. Your salary kept the lights on. This reflects that. Grant taps the page. If you open litigation, you expose yourself to fees and discovery that will not flatter you. We'll show the contributions. We'll show who paid for what. You teach high school English. Claire runs a technology company. Courts don't ignore math. So the math says I'm, what, a friendly roommate who makes spaghetti. I lift an eyebrow. I edited half your presentations. I ran dinners for your clients. I kept your weekends from exploding. That's support, Claire answers. It doesn't convert into equity. Grant slides the pen across. The sooner you sign, the sooner this stops being awkward. I stare at the signature line. I need my own attorney. You're free to hire one, Grant says smoothly. You'll also be free to pay one. Or you sign, and we all go home. Claire's voice is flat. Please don't do the stubborn thing, Mark. Be practical. My hands don't shake often. They do now. I sign where the tabs tell me to. The pen makes a sound I've never noticed, a tiny scratch that fits the room. Grant collects the pages like I just donated to his museum. You'll receive the check before you leave the building. Claire is already up. We'll get you a motel for a couple of nights. The alarm code is changed. Your stuff is in the garage. I can have someone drop the rest. Right, I say. Like returning a rental. You can keep your car, she adds, as if she's magnanimous. You're all heart, I mutter. Grant ignores that. Pleasure, Mr. Lawson. Sure, I reply. If I ever need a lesson in manners, I know where to come. We ride down the elevator without looking at each other. In the lobby, Claire checks her phone. Please don't make this harder than it is. Just be decent. I've been decent for a long time, I answer. Don't weaponize that word, she says, heading to the curb. I'll text the motel details. In the motel room, the carpet is the color of old tea. The air conditioner wheezes like it wants to retire. I set the $50,000 check on the flimsy desk and stare at it. 15 years condensed into an amount you could misplace if you bought the wrong truck. My phone buzzes. Claire, I'm sorry it had to be this way. I'll cover 3 months of your rent if you find a place quickly. Please don't contact my board or investors. This is personal. I stare at that last sentence. Personal. That's a word that used to mean us. I put the phone face down and make a decision. Small, but mine. I'm not finishing her deck. She can figure out the last 3 slides without me. First rule change. I text back. Return all future requests to sender. We're done. Her dots appear, then vanish. Then, I appreciate your cooperation. Don't make this ugly. I laugh once. Cooperation. Fine. She wants a cooperative mark. She just met the last one. 3 nights later, after microwave noodles and a call with my brother Sam where he doesn't say, "I told you so," because he's better than that, I walk into the bank downtown to deposit the check. I get in line behind a guy with drywall dust on his boots. My turn. I sign the back, slide it under the glass, and feel the floor tilt a little. New life, minimum balance. And then I remember a different piece of plastic. A card I haven't touched in years because it felt like a memorial. My mother's card. She handed it to me in hospice. Thin fingers, voice like sandpaper. Use it if you really have nothing else, baby. Not for toys. For breathing. I feed it to the ATM outside, not sure why I'm doing it. Maybe to feel closer to her for a second. The screen thinks. Too long. A blank. Then a red line. Please see a bank manager immediately. I look over my shoulder like I did something wrong. A man in a fitted suit rushes out, eyes wide. "Mr. Lawson? Mark Lawson." "That's me." I answer. "Am I under arrest for trying to deposit a check that insults math?" "Please come with me," he says, voice lowered. "Right now." Inside his office, door closed, he wipes his forehead with a folded handkerchief like he practiced for exactly this moment. "I'm Brian Pack, branch manager. I need you to know I am not going to violate any confidentiality, but your mother made very specific instructions. She passed away 9 years ago," I tell him. "If this is about an old account." He swivels his monitor toward me and points to a number that has too many commas. 47,300,000 and change. The change alone could buy my car twice. "No," I say, because that's what you say when the world misprints itself. He opens a file drawer and pulls out a thick envelope with Maggie Lawson written in that sharp, tidy cursive she used for grocery lists and birthdays. Below it, "For Mark, open when needed most." She arranged to keep this confidential unless you attempted to access funds. Brian explains, words careful. She wanted you to get this when you truly needed it. She left notes describing you as responsible, modest, and, quote, stubborn about pride. I touch the envelope. Paper gives. For a second, I see my mother beating a checkbook into submission at the kitchen table while telling me that money you don't flash is the only kind that doesn't ruin you. "Open it," Brian urges. I break the seal. The letter is simple. She explains what I already know. She lived like a small-town bookkeeper while quietly investing early with people who built something big. She says she didn't tell me because she wanted me to be who I am without a number twisting it. She writes one line that lands like a brick. When you have no options, this is an option. Not for comfort, for spine. I read it twice. The room is both too small and the right size. I set the letter on his desk and steady my voice. I need a lawyer. The best at undoing pressure. "I can make introductions," Brian says. "But you won't need introductions. They'll take your call. I also need a place to live," I add. "Something normal. Clean. Close to school." He nods. "We can help with a cashier's check for a deposit. Your funds are available." I stand. "Brian, one more thing. This card. You flagged it like a fire alarm." He gives a tiny smile. "Your mother told me to." I walk out lighter than I walked in. Not because of the number. Because my mother reached from 9 years away and put a hand on my shoulder and said, "Stand up." On the sidewalk, I call a name I found on the first search Brian did for me, Catherine Maddox. Her assistant picks up, transfers me, and then Catherine herself says hello like she's late for 2 meetings and still in complete control. "Ms. Maddox," I begin. "I'm a high school English teacher who just signed something I shouldn't have." "All right," she says crisply. "Start with timing, then threats, then whether you had counsel." I give her the quick version. The office, the pen, the motel, the text about not contacting her board. "That last part tells me everything," Catherine replies. "I can file an emergency motion to set aside an unconscionable agreement signed under duress. We'll need a declaration from you. Can you be in my office in an hour?" "I can," I tell her. "And Mark, going forward, do not speak to your wife about this. All communication runs through counsel. That's your first boundary." "That one," I answer, "I can keep." I drive to a rental office, sign for a small apartment near the school with a view of a parking lot and a maple tree that does its best in October. I buy a used sofa from a guy named Lewis who runs a garage sale out of his storage unit. I call my brother Sam and ask him to meet me at the house to pick up what's mine. Finally, Sam says, voice rough from a lifetime around engines. Let's do it right. At the garage, a hired hand opens the door and points to boxes labeled kitchen/mark and miscellaneous/mark. On top, a framed photo of my mother at a picnic, looking at the camera like she knows a secret. I load the boxes with Sam while the hired guy watches his phone. Where is she? Sam asks. Office, I tell him. Running the world. Sam grunts. You good? I'm better than I was on Tuesday. He slaps my shoulder. That's something. We carry out the last box. As I shut the garage, Claire's SUV rolls in. She steps out, sunglasses on, suit too sharp for a Saturday. What are you doing here? She asks. Collecting my things, I reply. I texted you. I didn't agree to this time. I didn't ask, I answer. New rule. I manage my schedule. Her mouth tightens. You don't get to set rules. Watch me. Sam leans on the truck bed, arms crossed, saying nothing because he knows silence is a tool. Claire looks at him and then at me. This could be simple. You signed. Don't escalate. It was simple, I tell her. Then you made it something else. She removes the sunglasses, a small theater piece. I didn't want to hurt you. Then the motel was just a comedy bit? Her phone buzzes. She glances at it, then back at me. I have a board call. Are you done? For now, I say. I'll be in touch through my attorney. Another flicker in her eyes. Your attorney? Catherine Maddox, I answer. You'll enjoy her work. She starts to say something, closes it, gets into the car, and drives around us like we're a traffic cone. Sam raises an eyebrow. Yeah, I tell him. It's different now. We unload boxes at the apartment. I make coffee on a small machine that reminds me of my mother's one surviving appliance. I open my laptop and write the declaration Catherine needs. Times, dates, exact words. The tight way Claire said, be practical. The offer of the motel like a doggy bag. I leave out the parts that sound like a wounded man. I keep the parts that sound like a man who won't be pushed again. Catherine reads it while I wait. Good, she says. We file first thing. You'll have a hearing inside of 10 days. Be ready for them to spin. And Mark, yes. Congratulations on your second chance, she says. Don't waste it. I don't plan to. 2 days later, Claire texts. No counsel copied. Classic. Mark, this doesn't have to be hostile. I overreacted. If you need help with first month's rent, I can add to what we agreed. Let's not create public drama. There it is. Softness dressed as caution. The first turn. I hold the phone until it stops meaning anything and forward the message to Catherine. Then I answer Claire with one sentence. Counsel only. Her reply comes through Catherine an hour later from Grant's address, full of measured concern and an attachment titled Mutual Non-Disparagement. Claire wants me to promise silence while I disappear on cue. They're worried about her image. That tells me more than the file name. We walk into court on a Thursday. The courtroom is all wood and efficiency. Judge Rose Stein looks over her glasses like someone who's enjoyed dismantling nonsense for decades. Claire sits at one table with Grant. I sit at the other with Catherine. I don't look at Claire long. The air around her feels expensive. Mr. Lawson, Judge Stein starts after we introduce ourselves. You're asking to set aside a settlement you signed. On what grounds? Catherine answers for me. Duress. Unconscionability. No independent counsel. 24-hour treadmill. Threat of financial harm. Immediate expulsion from the home. Grant stands. Your Honor, the agreement was fair. My client has been the primary earner. Mr. Lawson was not barred from seeking counsel. Did he have counsel? The judge asks, pen poised. No, Grant replies. Was there a time limit? We were efficient, he says. Judge Stein looks at me. Mr. Lawson, did you feel you had a choice? I felt like a hotel guest in my own life, I answer. With checkout at noon. Something passes over her face that might be the beginning of a smile. Motion granted. The prior agreement is set aside. We proceed as a normal dissolution with full discovery. I expect professionalism. Ms. Lawson, Mr. Holloway, save the theater for paying audiences. Her gavel doesn't even bother with ceremony. In the hallway, Claire turns to me, voice low. The way you talk over a dog you don't want to spook. What are you doing? Standing up? I tell her. You can't turn this into a crusade, she warns. You'll embarrass yourself. I'm not after your money, I reply. I'm after respect. The only currency that spins everywhere. Don't be dramatic, she says, a line I've heard 100 times. Catherine steps between us like a drawbridge. Counsel only, Ms. Lawson. Claire forces a calm smile. Of course. That night, she sends another text, this time warmer. Mark, I miss talking to you. We were good once. Can we have coffee? Not about the case. Just neutral ground. Second turn. She's good at this. So am I now. I don't answer. I forward to Catherine. Then I make another rule. No meetings without counsel. No nostalgia pit stops. Boundary stays up. I spend Saturday at school grading essays on Of Mice and Men. I write comments in the margins that don't spare feelings, and it occurs to me I've been doing that gently for years at home and calling it support. Around noon, Principal Delgado pokes her head in. Heard about some changes, she says carefully. You okay? I'm better than that. I tell her. I'm making adjustments. I'll need to shift my after-school tutoring to earlier times. I'm not available evenings anymore for side projects. She nods. Whatever you need. At 3, I drive to Claire's office tower with Sam. Why here, he asks. Foreign territory, I answer. Time to draw a line somewhere she can't ignore. We stand in the lobby near the steel sculpture pretending to be a tree. The receptionist asks if we have an appointment. She's expecting a message. I tell her. She'll get it. When Claire steps out of the elevator flanked by 2 colleagues, she sees us and slows. What is this? Public boundary, I say. It saves you the trouble of spinning later. Her colleagues hang back. She folds her arms. Make it quick. Stop contacting me directly, I tell her. You want to share a thought? Copy the attorneys. Also, any materials I built for you, decks, notes, email drafts, consider them off limits. Going forward, you swim on your own. A junior colleague tries a smile. We can give you a consulting check, Mr. Lawson. I cut him off. I'm not for hire. Claire's jaw sets. Are you trying to embarrass me? I'm trying to be clear, I answer. Clarity is free. Confusion costs. Ask Grant. She looks past me at Sam, who gives her nothing back. Fine, she says. We'll do it your way. We will, I agree. Because it's my way now. As she turns to go, she throws one last card. You will regret dragging this out. I regret finishing your slides, I reply. Everything after that is progress. On the drive back, Sam whistles. That played. It wasn't theater, I say. It was a calendar update. And it was. A rule change is just a meeting with yourself that you keep. Discovery starts. Catherine pulls bank statements, mortgage records, the digital paper trail of our life. She asks me for emails where I scheduled Claire's client dinners, drafts I wrote, calendars I built. I send them all, and she organizes them into a quiet argument. Shared life is shared effort, even when the paychecks are different sizes. Grant sends interrogatories that ask if I've ever been treated for anything that could make me economically unproductive. Catherine laughs. They're trying to paint you as, what's the polite word, underambitious. Don't take the bait. Claire emails a proposal through counsel, a higher lump sum, non-disclosure, a requirement I never mention her name in public again. In exchange, she gets everything else, including the house. The offer looks generous if you ignore context. Catherine writes back 6 words. We reject, and we'll see you. 2 weeks later, I get a call from one of Claire's board members. He's a man with a radio voice and an allergy to nonsense. Mark, I shouldn't be calling, he says, but I saw your name on a filing. Are you okay? I'm fine, I tell him. I'm not here to make a mess. Good, he says, because there's an investor dinner next month, and your editing has always been appreciated. You'll be fine without me, I answer. Turns out I was a volunteer. He's quiet. That's what I figured. Good luck, truly. The line clicks. People always know more than they pretend. Claire tries the kind card one more time. She sends a photo of a handwritten note I left her years ago. Break their heads with this deck. You've got it. And texts, miss this. The memory tug is real. I hold it, respect it, then set it down. I don't reply. The next hearing is about temporary support and access to the home for inventory. Judge Stein runs it like a drill sergeant with a sense of humor. Claire's team asks that I stay out of the house except for prearranged pickups with supervision. Catherine asks that I have time inside to identify items that are mine or purchased during marriage. The judge splits it like Solomon without the baby. Alternate Saturdays, 3 hours, no interference. Each takes photos, no ridiculous claims. If I hear about a fight over a toaster, I will find both of you. In the parking lot, Claire walks up alone. I don't like judges. She's fair, I say. She likes the performance, Claire replies. You used to like mine, I tell her. She looks at me sharply. You think you're hard now? This new tone. I think I stopped believing I was lucky to be here, I answer. Big difference. Don't be cruel, she says. Boundaries feel like cruelty when you're used to a doormat, I reply. And she flinches like I slapped her, but all I did was finish a sentence. Saturday, I go to the house with Catherine's paralegal as a witness. I walk through rooms that used to be ours and feel nothing but inventory. I take the books I bought, the tools I owned before, the paintings we picked together. I leave the couch and the TV because taste is a hill I'm not dying on. In the office, I pick up a stack of printed drafts with my notes in the margins. Claire appears in the doorway. You don't need those, she says. Memorabilia, I answer. Volunteer hours. They'll end up in a bin, she mutters. Like my settlement, once upon a time. She leans on the doorframe. We could still salvage this. Not us, but the tone. Be dignified. Sign an NDA. Take a bigger check. Move on. What's your rush? I have a life, Mark. I can't babysit this. I smile a little, then stop trying. She leaves without slamming anything. That's as close to progress as we've had in months. Catherine negotiates like a surgeon. She cuts where it bleeds the least. We propose a split that includes the house proceeds, a fair share of retirement accounts accumulated during marriage, and a clean break with no balloons attached. Grant sends back a list of reasons their math makes sense. Catherine returns it with citations that say otherwise. I watch the emails like a tennis match and feel oddly calm. I can stand here as long as it takes. The number in the bank makes time mine, but that's not why I'm steady. I'm steady because I finally believe my dignity doesn't depend on her opinion. One evening, I sit with Sam on his back steps while he eats chili out of a paper bowl and I nurse a ginger ale. You going to date? He asks, not looking at me. Eventually, I say, for the right reasons. What are those? He prods. Respect first. Everything else later. He nods. Good order. Catherine calls the next morning. They blinked, she says. They're offering what we asked on retirement and a buyout number that's within shouting distance on the house. They still want an NDA. We'll narrow it to financial terms only. Fine by me. What changed? I ask. Pressure, she says simply. You standing your ground in public and private. And, I suspect, a bonus tied to headlines. She wants it quiet. I can live with quiet, I tell her, as long as it's honest. We meet one last time in a conference room with a view of a skyline that doesn't care about any of us. Grant slides the new term sheet across. Catherine nods at me. The numbers are adult. They reflect life lived, not a tip jar. Claire sits across from me in a navy dress that people trust with their futures. She studies me like she's trying to reconstruct the blueprint from the finished house. You win, she asks softly when the assistants leave. I win by leaving, I reply. You keep your title. I keep my self-respect. You always had that, she says, as if that excuse just arrived. You didn't treat it like I did, I answer. She looks at the window. I misjudged the exit. You misjudged the man, I correct. Grant returns with final paperwork. We sign. Catherine gathers the stack. It's not a celebration. It's a completion. At the elevator, Claire catches my sleeve. I glance at her hand, and she lets go. You were good at making me look better, she says. I was good at making things work, I answer. There's a difference. What do you want me to say? She asks, the question a little raw. Nothing, I tell her. Just hear this. The man you tried to push out like old furniture walked out on his own 2 feet. That's the only sentence I care about. The doors open. Catherine steps in. I follow. I don't look back. 6 months later, I wake up in a craftsman bungalow with floors that creak in the honest places. There's a coffee machine that behaves, a bookshelf that got its books back, and sunlight that doesn't ask for permission. My driveway holds a practical truck that starts every time. The maples out front have decided to go red early, which in this town always feels like a small miracle. I kept teaching. Principal Delgado made me department chair. I run a writing workshop on Tuesday nights at the community center for kids who think no one listens. Turns out they're wrong. On some Fridays, I grab barbecue with a woman named Erin who runs a design studio. She laughs at the right things and doesn't ask me to edit her life. We take it slow because fast broke everything once. My brother Sam drops by with oil-stained hands and an opinion about everything. We talk about engines and books and people who don't know how to merge. It's life without theatrics. It's mine. Claire? I hear things. She moved into a glass box near the river. A board seat she used to hold went to someone else after a quarter that didn't love her. She's still sharp, still dressed like she's fighting gravity, but the circle around her is narrower. People who need to trust you don't like surprises, and word gets around when your exits are messy. I don't root for her to fall. I just refuse to stand where she can push again. One afternoon, Brian Pack calls to check on me like a good banker who didn't expect to be part of a family story. Your mother would be proud, he says. She'd tell me to iron my shirts. I answer. And to never confuse resource with purpose. And are you? Confusing them? No, I tell him. Using them? Yes. I started a small scholarship at the school in her name. Quiet. The way she would have liked. Good, Brian says. That's a decent ending. Not an ending, I correct. Just the right chapter. A month after the settlement, I park outside the old house to pick up a last box that Claire found in the attic. We meet on the porch like two colleagues who got assigned to different projects. She hands me the box without ceremony. I heard about your workshop, she says. Kids need that. They do, I reply. You look, she searches for the word, then shrugs. Different. I am. She nods once. Be well, Mark. I set the box on the passenger seat, turn back, and leave her with one last line. Not for cruelty, just accuracy. You wanted me small. Look around. Then I close the door and drive away. The maples along the street are past peak, leaves everywhere, a little messy, a lot real. I don't check the rear view. I already know what's behind me. And I've got a good, honest road ahead.